Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Financial Conflict Coach Show. I'm Dave Hilton, the Financial Conflict Coach. Well, in this special edition of the Financial Conflict Coach Show, I'm going to share a personal financial conflict, something that just came up actually today. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Because I got in the mail today a bill from our homeowners association for our annual dues. Now, if you happen to be part of a homeowners association, you may think, well, ours is due in January. And normally, ours has been too, except for here's the problem. I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory about what's happened here. We got this bill for our homeowners association assessment that's due every year, and it's due in 2 days. It's due on July the 1st. Now, a lot of people in our homeowners association are freaking out. My phone started going off like crazy from people on our Facebook page for our homeowners association. People complaining, freaking out because they said, hey, this is due in 2 days. We didn't know anything about this. Well, I'm going to give you some of this backstory. What's happened is, several months ago, the original developer of our particular community, filed for bankruptcy. And what happened is the homeowners association is actually managed by a management company because there aren't enough homes here for us to be, as the members, to be in charge of the full homeowners association yet. I know the laws in Texas are different than in different parts of the country, but the way it works is that whenever a new community comes up, they use a management company to basically handle the day-to-day operations of the homeowners association until a certain percentage of homes in whatever phase has been built, and we haven't quite reached that point in ours. So what happened whenever the developer ended up filing for bankruptcy several months ago, the HOA sort of went into limbo. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the people who bought new homes that had just been built, a lot of the previous owners even some that were here before us, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I don't think they spoke with an attorney, but they thought for some reason that because the developer ended up filing for bankruptcy, that the HOA was dissolved and we no longer had an HOA. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works because it is a separate entity. It's an incorporated nonprofit entity here in the state of Texas, which means that it did continue to exist, and all the covenants and restrictions and requirements that were set within those documents that we signed when we bought a house were actually still valid. A lot of people thought it wasn't because we didn't have to pay an assessment. So essentially what happened is we got like a 6.5 month free, no interest loan on the money that we were supposed to pay for the assessment. Now in our documents for our association, it very clearly says that you have to have 30 days to be able to pay whatever the assessment is once we receive notice in the mail. Very, very specific that it either has to be received via mail or it has to be hand-delivered by the representative or agent of the homeowners association. So I love the fine print in here. I'm going to read it to you. It says here, current billing due date is July 1st, but balances not paid by August 10th will be subject to a monthly collection fee. So what they did was they said, yeah, okay, we're going to make it due on July 1st, even though that's 2 days from now, but we're going to give them their 30 days. In fact, this new company is actually being nice, and technically they're giving us 40 days to be able to pay. Now, I went on to our Facebook page for our homeowners association, and I tried to explain about the fact that, even though, and I'm not sure why they all thought that the HOA had dissolved or not existed anymore. I don't understand that. But they did. That's what they thought. I guess they hadn't talked to an attorney or didn't understand. Now, I'm not an attorney either, so, I don't know the law specifics, but I have read enough briefs and through mediation and my other work that I understand a lot of the lingo and the boilerplate stuff that you see in these contracts and bylaws and those types of things. So I at least understand how to read them. I can't write them, but I can at least read them. And I can't necessarily practice law, but I can read it and make an assumption based on my own viewpoint. That's the way you can do that. So based on my viewpoint, I'm pretty sure that the Homeowners Association has always existed, which is kind of backed up by the fact that we've received this bill now to pay the Homeowners Association fee for the year. Now, the other thing that people are complaining about is the fact that we're going to have another assessment due again this next January. So people are completely freaking out. But again, I tried to explain to them on the Facebook page and some of the people who called me, because I gave them my number to at least call me. And this is one of those types of conflict, because I talk a lot about financial conflict, and even though this one has to do a lot with money, because people aren't wanting to have to pay this all of a sudden because they weren't expecting having to get it, it really doesn't the basis of this conflict really isn't about finances. People will pay it. I'm sure they're going to have to. But I think the biggest issue here is power. They weren't notified that there was a new management company in charge. They weren't notified of the change of the board of directors. Now, since this is a new community, as I mentioned, and us as the members, as the homeowners, aren't yet in charge of the HOA, what happens is the declarant and the board of directors basically makes all these decisions, and technically they don't even have to let us know, because the builders and the declarant and all that, they have, based on however many lots that they own that haven't had houses built on them yet or been bought by somebody else, they have 5 votes per lot based on that. So they wouldn't even have to have our vote to be able to nominate and vote in the new board of directors. So I will agree with the fact that I am a little upset that I don't know who the board of directors is right now, because with the previous developer, all the people that they nominated, apparently the bankruptcy judge basically took that board away, and then now we have a new board. We just haven't been introduced or given any notification about who they are. So that's an entirely different issue. But I think this one really comes down to power and control. Most of my fellow homeowners are upset that they had no power, no control, and no notification of any of this. So even though in their posts and things, they're really mad about having to pay this money right now when they weren't expecting, and that they thought the HOA had been dissolved, what I think that their real problem is and which is why I gave them my telephone number so that they could contact me and I can kind of talk them through this, maybe calm them down a little bit. But a lot of the stuff that I say is financial conflict, and a lot of things that people consider to be financial conflict, even though, yeah, money is involved, a lot of times it has to do with other aspects. But I thought it was an interesting story, especially considering it has to do with me, something in my personal life. So even I, as I've said before, I am not immune to financial conflict. I just know how to identify it and move towards different techniques and strategies to try to resolve that. So my way of dissolving this one or resolving this particular financial conflict, I'm going to write a check. Nice and simple. Resolved. Now, as far as what everybody else in the Homeowners Association does, I don't know what they'll do. Maybe a couple of them said they're going to contact an attorney anyway, and I recommend that they do so. But pretty much, I think it's going to boil down to the fact that the Homeowners Association is still here. It was never dissolved. It's a separate entity. Now we have to pay again. There's a new management company. But the good news is, at least we have a company. At least we have some idea of what might be going on over the next few months. And as they continue to build more homes, we'll have more owners, and we'll be able to share this information with the new owners so that they don't freak out if something like this happens again in the future. Well, if you've ever had any kind of situation with a homeowners association, because I know a lot of conflict can happen with that, and whether it's financial conflict or not, I encourage you to leave your stories, your comments down below. I'd love to hear what kind of situations in conflict, because when people bring up HOAs, a lot of people have a lot of conflict. They have a lot of very strong feelings when it comes to homeowners associations. So if you have one of those stories you'd like to share, I encourage you to do so. If you have suggestions for topics, either that or interview guests for upcoming editions of the Financial Conflict Coach Show, I invite you to send those to me via Twitter. I'm at Money Conflicts. You can also contact me through the website at financialconflictcoach.com. Thanks for watching.